and welcome to you all. It is Friday, November 25th, 2022, which means it is another instance of Fake News Friday. The fakest news of it all would be if we did it on like Tuesday or something, but it is the way we cap off your week, swim through the blizzard of lies that comes at your way from politicians and the media alike. And I am very delighted to have a return performance or appearance. Maybe it's not a performance, but a return appearance by my colleague, Sue-Ann Levy. Sue-Ann, good to talk to you. How was the last week for you?
It was great. Now, you have to know as well, Andrew, that it's Black Friday. Are we still allowed to say that?
No, yeah, that's gone. That's too offensive. It's color neutral Friday.
Yeah, we have to come up with, there are many sales today on Friday or something.
Yeah, it's commercial capitalist imperial complex Friday, I believe.
Friday, yes.
Yeah, even Friday might be gone. You know, it's the what's the Friday? It's the Roman God Friday. So he probably did something that we've got to cancel him for.
Yes, well, I as soon as I said it's Black Friday earlier, I thought, oh my God, can I still say that?
You are the uncancelable one in my view, Sue-Ann. Let's get right to it. This actually segues into this very bizarre story about something we actually reported on at True North. Our colleague Rachel Emanuel reported on Edmonton's move of its Christmas tree, or removal of its Christmas tree from this big square, Churchill Square downtown. I mean, there's something else they probably need to name, Churchill Square, but nevertheless, they did this. True North reported on it. A lot of people were very frustrated. They said, listen, it's tradition. This is what Christmas season is. It's not about imposing Christianity on people. Lots of non-Christians are absolutely fine with it. And then there was a follow-up story to this that the Canadian press did. Racist response is what they said it elicited. Changes to holiday festival prompts racist response, Edmonton officials say. And they say that the reaction to this, the backlash to this, has turned racist. They say the Edmonton Downtown Business Association had announced the plans, but the public reaction has been focused on the fact that there won't be a giant Christmas tree. And then they say that there has been racism directed at Amarjeet Sohi, the former Liberal cabinet minister, now the mayor of Edmonton. And if you read the story, as I did 3 times, there is not a single instance of racism mentioned. Nothing's quoted, nothing's alluded to. I am not saying that no one said something offensive to Mayor Sohi. It's certainly possible, but this is a story constructed around a response that they're not even telling you about. Like, imagine if I had said, like, there was a big car accident on Bloor Street and didn't tell you anything about the car accident. I'm like, well, why did I read this then?
It is unbelievable, because I think the R word, as I'm going to call it, has become the excuse for everything, for every action. And, the issue is that people were upset that they got rid of a Christmas tree. Like, they're trying to cancel everything. Now, I'm Jewish. I happen to like Christmas trees. I like giant Christmas trees. The sparklier, the better. So I would never, ever take a Christmas tree away from anybody. I don't know in what world these people think they're living in, but, the criticism was probably justified. But of course, if you dare criticize now, you are an R for racist. And it's just unbelievable. And the fact that they didn't mention what was racist means there's no substance to it. But, I don't know about you, but I get called racist all the time. I'm like, why do you call me racist? Because I dare speak out about ridiculous policies and decisions?
Yeah, and I mean, it's bizarre, and I don't deny that racism exists, and I don't deny that people do send racial epithets in the direction of politicians who are ethnic minorities, as Mayor Sohi is, and I think that's inexcusable. I think it should be condemned, but I oftentimes think that people use that term racist to completely avoid dealing with any legitimate criticism. So right here, you have something that has clearly unnerved a lot of Edmontonians and people around the country, which is the feeling that they're taking the Christmas out of what's supposed to be a Christmas event. That's the frustration. That is not racial. If one or two people said something racist as they were lashing out about that, that's wrong. But you don't get to sidestep accountability over that by only focusing on the nut jobs.
And that's exactly what they do. They try to cancel any sort of conversation or debate, or intelligent, discussion by just trying to cancel you. And, that's their favorite tactic now. And I think people are waking up. I certainly don't take it. You know that I'm cancelable.
That's a hard word to say, is it
I
not?
know I can't be canceled. But, I just say, like, it's so yesterday. I mean, this is being used and it's so tiresome to hear now.
Yeah, and the thing too is, I mean, there's always been this push and pull. Especially, like, my background's in talk radio, and like every year in talk radio, there was always the war on Christmas story, and it got so tiresome after a while because people would say, "Oh, come on, there is no war on Christmas. Everyone's allowed to say Merry Christmas." And I'd say for most of the time, that's generally been true. I mean, any war on Christmas has not been waged by Sikhs or Jews or Muslims. It's been waged by white liberals.
Yeah, who feel very guilty about what, I'm not sure, but I mean, they're the ones who are leading the charge on so many things. But as I said, I happen to like big, shiny Christmas trees. You can't help but get into Christmas spirit. And I mean, frankly, these people are Scrooges for even thinking that they should refashion Christmas. People like the old traditions. And one other thing I was thinking of as we were talking, we've been through 3 years of, mask mandates, vaccine mandates, border closures. I mean, let people have a little fun. Stop taking the fun out of a traditional holiday.
Yeah, I mean, that's a more constructive solution. My idea was you would need to be the champion of this because I have Gentile privilege here, but we could just rename it the Edmonton Hanukkah bush, and then if anyone tries to take it away, you could call them an anti-Semite.
Exactly. Yes, I like Hanukkah bushes, and I've often thought of getting one myself. But
all right, problem solved. So it's no longer a Christmas tree; it's a Hanukkah bush, which means Edmonton, you can put it back and be sufficiently diverse and woke.
The only thing, Andrew, is I will warn you that we have to light candles, so you don't want to be lighting those candles near the Hanukkah bush.
Yeah, well, diversity sometimes needs a fire marshal. That's oftentimes the sad reality of it. So we are lit aflame with the holiday spirit in more ways than one. This is a weird story, and I feel bad because I never like beating up on individual people, and certainly on this show we try not to. But I will say that Rachel Gilmore's content oftentimes does make to Fake News Friday, just because the beat that she covers is one that I think is oftentimes very prone to this. Shopify, a Canadian company, says a store selling products alleging grooming of kids doesn't violate rules. Now, the background on this is that there is this online account called Libs of TikTok, which oftentimes focuses a lot on just exposing teachers and stuff like that they feel are overly woke. They sell merchandise on Shopify, which is a platform that basically any online retailer can use. And some of these are shirts that have lines like "Stop Grooming Our Kids" on them, which now some LGBTQ activists have said is offensive, is anti-trans, is trying to stoke this idea that people in the gay community are pedophiles. And I mean, my position on this has nothing to do with the substance of what's on the shirt, what's on the hat, what's on the coffee mug, or anything like that. It's that Shopify is at the very minimum, I mean, I would say it's a software. It's a service that people use to facilitate online transactions. You're not buying it from the Shopify Emporium. You're not walking into a Shopify like you would walk into a Walmart. It is an online platform. And it's this idea that activists believe companies have to be as woke as they are or take the political positions that they do. And I'm so tired of it. I mean, whatever happened to the ideas that corporations could exist without having a political identity?
Well, I think activists won't be happy until they wokeify, you should pardon the pun, every corporation. And I respect corporations, whether it's Shopify or whatever, who stand up to the woke mob. We've seen, I think we discussed it, the TD Bank giving money for gender, transgender.
Yeah, for like child gender affirmation surgeries, or whatever they're called.
I mean, you know what? You're a bank. Stop. You're in the business of giving money, taking money, you know, hiding money or canceling you, as I had the experience with the TD Bank, because the check went through was not supposed to. But I mean, the point is that you're in the financial business. You're not in the business of funding gender surgeries. So I think I really respect a corporation that can stand up to the activists. And some of the activists speaking out, frankly, are ones who did a very good job of ensuring that gays had rights, allowed me to have the right to marry my wife. But now they're seeking a cause because gays and lesbians have rights. We're like normal people. Now they are in search of a cause. So transgendered ideology has become their focus. And they, as would everything, they've gone grossly overboard. So they're in search of a mission. And you know what? It's the pendulum has swung so far. It's making me crazy.
Yeah, and it's the idea of deplatforming that is really irking me here. There's a line that's given by one of the activists here, Helen Kennedy, who's the head of EGAL. And what Helen Kennedy says is, can you imagine what it feels like to pass somebody on the street in your neighborhood that you like to think you're safe in with a t-shirt that says, or a hat that says, "Stop grooming our kids"? So look, that has nothing to do with Shopify, in my view. And for starters, someone wearing that shirt or not wearing that shirt has nothing to do with whether they are safe or unsafe to be around. And if they believe the things on the shirt, whether they're wearing it or not shouldn't really matter. But I think more crucially to that is that Ms. Kennedy is saying that it is Shopify's responsibility to deal with what people wear, instead of the responsibility of people in education that may want to, teach a certain perspective, or individuals in the activist community that may want to have some sort of a campaign. And I guess I'm so fed up with this idea that people want to export their biases to every institution that they interact with.
Exactly. And I was referring to Miss Kennedy and EGAL because they're the ones who have been involved with transgender workshops, Transphobia 101, Transgender 101 that I've written about in the past, that are coming into elementary schools. So here they are in search of a cause. And, this doesn't surprise me, the comments, because they want to I guess, reposition the world. They want to have the final say on everything. And, just leave us alone. Let us wear what we want to wear. Let us wear MAGA hats if we want to wear them. Not that I would, but, everybody, this is part of a democracy. Right. And the people who are wearing them are the ones who are responsible for wearing them. Like, my wife and I have seen people go down the street, a woman saying, she's got an arrow, a shirt, and says, "I'm with the idiot." And then the husband says, "I'm the idiot." And we often say, okay, that's funny, but like, who would walk down the street wearing shirts like that? People, it speaks to the people who buy the shirts, not the people who are selling the shirts or the platform that's selling the shirts.
Yeah, that's the thing. Shopify's not even selling it. You're right. And I guess here's my perspective too, is that you may look at, not you personally, but someone may look at the "Stop Grooming Our Kids" shirt and say, wow, that's really offensive. And, there's an argument for that. Absolutely. But the problem is that a lot of these activists would draw the line at a much, much, much lower level. Like, I would suspect, without knowing, that if Shopify were to sell a shirt that said "biological sex is immutable," they would say that's offensive and should be taken down too. If they were to sell a Trump hat, they would say that was offensive and should be taken down too. So it's knowing that the activists are never actually as restrained as it sounds like here, and they would, if they had their way, censor a lot more.
Yes, that's what I meant by they want to rule the world. They want to rule speech, which is not necessarily free anymore. And, I take great exception to comments like that. Like I said, it's the responsibility of people who are wearing the shirts. Now, I happen to order a hoodie that I haven't worn yet because it's still sitting in the drawer. But I ordered a hoodie that says, I tested positive for critical thinking, support independent media.
I
Okay,
love it.
so when I walk around, are people going to take offense to that?
You should walk just back and forth in front of the CBC headquarters on Front Street.
Exactly.
Oh, it's too fun. That should be your uniform for Fake News Friday moving
Yes,
forward.
I should. I'll wear it next time.
Sounds good. This is a fun one. So Wyatt Sharp is a name that some of you may or may not know. I believe he's 13 years old now. He's been doing like online interviews and stuff for certainly the last year, or maybe even a couple of years, because I think he interviewed Doug Ford relatively early on in the pandemic. And he's gotten remarkable access. He's gotten an interview with Doug Ford. He's interviewed Justin Trudeau. He's interviewed most party leaders. He had former U.S. ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, on last week. Like the kid does well because it's kind of a cute novelty thing to do. He's a 13-year-old. He asks generally fairly friendly questions. It's a fun opportunity for someone to go on. He gets, a decent enough following. But there's been a pivot in the last little while where some journalists aren't treating it as just this sort of cute little thing, but are treating him as a journalist, as a bona fide journalist, to which I say, okay, fine, let's play by the rules that journalists play by. He's been trying to get an interview with Education Minister Stephen Lecce. And apparently has been unable to get an interview with Minister Stephen Lecce for the last year. Now, okay, that's unfortunate. I have been trying to get an interview with Justin Trudeau for 6 years and have had no luck, and there's never been a news story about that. CTV ran this. 13-year-old Ontario journalist says Lecce is ignoring his interview requests. And that is exactly the story. It's that he's interviewed all these people, but he has not gotten an interview with Stephen Lecce in a year. And then he tweeted about it, and somehow the news picked this up. Like, setting aside the fact that he's 13, Sue-Ann, you've been a journalist for many, many years. I'm sure there are politicians who have dodged you for more than a year. Has there ever been a news story in CTV about it?
No, in fact, they never covered the fact that I got taken out of a Indigenous meeting by 4 armed cops. They didn't cover the fact that I had to chase many school board directors out of buildings to get a comment from them, or that doors were slammed in my face. But, it speaks to their agenda. When I saw that, I thought, of course, any chance to dump on the Conservative government of Ontario, and let's be honest here, there are many reasons we could criticize them, but not granting an interview to a 13-year-old is not one. But it's all part of their agenda, their bias. Stephen Lecce is the devil. He's, put teachers in this uncomfortable position. He's not negotiating nicely with the CUPE workers. My goodness. So, it was all, it was just so, in a way, kind of sleazy that they would cover this just as a backhanded way of, criticizing him.
Yeah, like it was just a weird thing all around. And so now I will say Lecce's office didn't do itself any favors. So Wyatt tweeted about this initially and said, haven't been able to get it. And apparently he got an email from one of his spokespeople for Stephen Lecce who said, I don't appreciate you tweeting that we aren't responding to you. Other than a broad media availability, the minister was not doing any one-on-one interviews. So then that further inflames it because now the ministry has responded to say, we don't like that you're tweeting about this. Like, again, I think that ministers are oftentimes far too protected from talking to real people. But my goodness, if we wrote a story anytime a politician dodged the media, we would not be writing anything else.
Exactly. And you know what? They gave it far more clarity, or they gave it far more than it needed to have by responding. I mean, they actually treated him like he was a journalist. So in many ways, they are the authors of their own misery. Stephen Lecce's office I'm talking about. They should have just ignored it. I mean, he's 13 years old and I admire his moxie, but come on.
Yeah, I mean, he has a vested interest in education more than any other ministry. I mean, he's of school age, but and again, it's tremendous what he's done. I'm a big supporter of independent media, but part of the experience, if you want to be a journalist, is having to deal with that rejection. And I think the media was a little too much in enabling mode on that story. And you're right. I think it was all really just to pursue that agenda towards or against the conservative government. We've got to wrap things up here in just a moment, but we're colleagues, Sue Ann, so we'll end on a bit of a lighter note. Because we work remotely, we don't have the benefit of getting together for after work drinks. I mean, I guess we do, but we're just all drinking alone in our respective homes generally. But there was a Globe and Mail piece that after work drinks are not inclusive enough. The act of gathering at a bar to consume alcohol is seen as a way for employees and their bosses to bond, to chat, to get to know each other. But for women and other marginalized groups, this common social practice is not always inclusive. And they quote a Calgary-based millennial in the public sector, Tala Abu Hayena, and she is a Muslim woman, so she says the social pressure to conform has been troublesome to her because she, like other observant Muslims, do not drink, so therefore she is not included in after-work drinks.
I don't know about she's not included. She's chosen not to participate, I would say. I mean, talk about twisting things around. Look, I'm not a big drinker, but I often went out just to, connect and to be social. And that is what people do. I mean, I think some of the suggestions that she made, that they should go bowling together or have picnics together in her op-ed, I mean, that's crazy. You could go on a retreat together, I suppose, but I mean, that's what people do to wind down after a day. It's an age-old tradition. I'm not a big drinker. We used to, have these sort of events when I was at Post Media, but I would sometimes go just, like I said, to connect. So, I mean, I think there are a lot of people in this world right now who are in search of some sort of, we say in Yiddish, and you wanted some, it's called a broigus. They're looking for a broigus. They're looking for trouble. And, she's trying to create a broigus. They're complaining about nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, even like, let's go through some of the alternatives. Well, potlucks are not good to people with dietary needs or people with food allergies or people with religious restrictions. Bowling and outdoor sports, they're not inclusive of people with physical disabilities. Comedy shows, if they're good, might not be inclusive of anybody. Escape rooms, they are tremendously, tremendously offensive to people with claustrophobia. So how dare you try to marginalize your coworkers with claustrophobia? Like, not everything is going to be of interest to everyone. That's not the point of this. It's that, like, you can go to a bar and not drink. And I have done that many, many times. I'm sure the servers love me, but, I'll go there if I'm with people and maybe I'm driving or maybe I just have an early morning and, you grab a coffee or you grab a soft drink
Diet
or something
Coke
like,
or whatever.
Yeah, like, who cares?
I know. Like I said, abregus. Stop making trouble where it doesn't exist. That's what my grandmother would say. Don't make a broigus.
Yeah, I only know like 7 Yiddish words, but I think I can add it to 8 now. So I'm going to look that up to make sure I'm saying it right. I 2 of them I know from the opening credits to Laverne and Shirley, though. Schlemiel and Schlemazel. I don't know what they mean, but I know Schlemiel and Schlemazel.
Well, I think this would fit into that category, Schlemiel and Schlemazel.
Schlemiel, Schlemazel, and Bloigel, is that it?
Broigus.
Broigus
means making something out of nothing.
Okay. Well, that is that. We should do a Fake News Friday Yiddish edition because I think that's often what the media is doing here. I'll leave you all with one final thought here from Chloe Tse, a third-generation Chinese-Canadian, dedicated to dismantling the kind of unequal systems upheld by after-work drinks culture. So if you invite your employees out to after-work drinks, you are contributing to unequal systems in need of dismantling. So take from that what you will. Sue Ann Levy, you can catch her fantastic reporting at tnc.news. I am Andrew Lawton. You can listen to my less fantastic but still adequate show, The Andrew Lawton Show, at TNC News as well. Sue Ann, have a wonderful weekend.
You too, my dear.
Yeah, no making a bloigus on your weekend. Everyone, have a good one. We'll see you later.